Welcome to Now College, where we talk about everything college, the experience, the struggles, the everything. I'm your host, Amma, and today I have my brother with me, Kofi Agyei.
Yep.
Well, Akwaba,
Aquaba.
and welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
So, before we get started, if you can tell us what school you went to, what your major was, and what you do today.
All right. I went to NC State University. I also went to Berklee College of Music later. At NC State, I majored in electrical engineering and graduated in '06, dating myself. And then,
It's all good.
yeah. And today I'm a music producer, songwriter, engineer, audio engineer. As you can see, I did use it, but I didn't go into electrical engineering as a career path after school. I actually worked as a product and process improvement engineer for a company in South Carolina.
That's well, you say you use it, so I guess it's not. I was gonna say it's a 180, but
Yeah, it's actually not as big of a 180 as people would think, because there's a lot of electrical engineering type of, I guess, philosophies and stuff like that. They go along with acoustics and they go along with audio engineering in general.
really, there's like, hold on, because I did music, music in band or whatever, but like the most math was probably counting, like reading music, but you're going into sound waves.
Yeah, there's a lot of math, and when it comes to the way sound moves and the way we hear sound, and I don't have to do calculations or anything because a lot of them are already done for you, just like in real life.
Sure.
As an electrical engineer. But and a lot of the tools you use just allow you to do it with like the turn of a knob kind of situation. You can talk about like when we love bass, we're like, hey, we want more bass. That's usually around 64 hertz, stuff like that. And then but when you get down to the acoustics of it, I used to be a TA at acoustics at Berklee. Like they'll get into how long the waves are, like physically. So it gets technical. It gets really deep and sciencey if you want to go there. These days with computers and technology, you got to know it all. So you got to be able to be creative and have the technical side to get the best performance. It's a lot of art and it's a lot of technical stuff as well. Most people don't know that. They think you go in, press record, singer sings, song's out. Nah, but it really doesn't work like that at all.
I'm sure there's people listening who they're like, yeah, I want to create music. I just want to, especially when it is in your hand, at the palm of your hand. But to make it to the standard of what it needs to be, You're gonna have to read. You're gonna have to crack open a book.
That's a huge challenge. I'm still battling with it sometimes, but I didn't really get to the point where I think the average person wouldn't be able to tell the difference between my songs and like a Bruno Mars song as far as quality goes.
No, that's pretty good.
Probably the past 3 years has only been like that. And I've been at this since, I have to say, before I graduated NC State. So 2003 or 4 is probably when I first recorded something.
During that time, you were your major was engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And you hold on, walk us through that. You started recording, like smack dab in the middle of college?
Yep. It was probably sophomore year. Mac, one of my friends, came to NC State. He was a freshman. It was a year behind me. And we both realized that we were both from Greensboro. We both lived 10 minutes from each other in Greensboro. And we never knew about each other. We had probably 100 mutual friends. And I found out he sang. I was, at the time, learning how to play piano, teaching myself. And I had a keyboard that you can program beats on. So I would program beats on the keyboard, and he heard some of them and would write to them. And then I started writing. And then we just started making music together. Yeah.
I remember Mac. What's up, Mac? For some reason, it felt like you were much older. I don't know why.
No,
felt
probably
like you were
20 or 20. Yeah,
20?
19, something like that.
Okay, so if you don't mind going even further into that, you start college. How old were you again?
17 when I started college. So yeah, I was probably 18 or 19 when I met Mac, actually. Yeah.
Wow. So you go in NC State, and NC State is pretty prestigious, pretty up there.
Sure.
In terms of North Carolina, like it's top 3. It's up
a
there.
good school. It's very difficult. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat that one bit.
So yeah, and then on top of that, they're known for engineering.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like a pretty prestigious school, and what they're known for. And would you say like people from all over, like internationally, you met a lot of students that came in there, or?
I didn't meet too many international students. There were some, but
okay.
But there was like an African student union with tons of first generation Africans from all over the continent.
Really?
Yeah, lots. I was in that a little bit. I was Nesby. I was in a bunch of clubs, pretty involved on campus.
Is that where you met Mac?
No, I actually met him as I was a counselor at the summer transition program. It's a program for entering freshmen that are majoring in engineering. You go there for, I think, a summer session, and you take some college classes in advance, and you get to network with all the people. You get to learn the campus. So by day one of the fall semester, I already knew my way around NC State.
Wow.
I knew half the professors. I knew all the black professors. I guess it's for minority students. So I knew a lot of Latino and black students in engineering. I was in it the previous year. And then the year Matt came in, I was a counselor for it.
Did you get paid?
Yeah.
Nice.
As a tutor, I got paid hourly, I think.
Really?
But as a counselor, the class was free and the boarding was free. Like, it was great.
Wow.
And you got paid. As a counselor, it was a lot. But as a tutor, I don't remember what they covered.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic program.
Yeah, that's the only way I got out of there in 4 years was because I went to 3 summer schools. So other than that, I don't even think it's designed for you to get out in 4 years. Maybe things have changed now, but I took 17 credit hours my last semester and 3 summers. And I didn't repeat any classes except for 1.
Wow. No, that's a lot.
So I don't know where all the credits went. I don't know who's supposed to do that in 4 years without summer school. And I got a head start because I went to SCP. So I guess that's the 3rd summer. So I had 3 summer schools and 1 internship my last summer, and then graduated in 4 years. So every summer I did something.
That's the definition of hustle, ladies and gentlemen, I think. Yeah, that's a lot. Let's take it back a little bit. You go to NC State, prestigious major. You had STP. You're pretty in other organizations as well. You're pretty embedded in the program. What was the moment where you, I guess, decided to get this keyboard and start making beats?
Well, I actually had the keyboard before I went to NC State, and I just brought it with me. But I got it as I got a gift certificate to Guitar Center or something like that. $200, I think. And I wanted to learn how to play piano because my friend Rodney played piano his whole life, and I just saw the benefits of it from especially from a composing standpoint, because I used to make or compose songs for the marching band. And then my last year of high school, I started making songs for the orchestra as well, like chamber type of arrangements.
Who?
Chamber music, which is like just small groups of string instruments.
Oh, okay.
And like, I think for seniors, we had to do something like that for honors orchestra. But I was doing that anyway in the marching band, so I did it for both the last year. But the thing is, for those, it wasn't original beats. It was like I would hear songs on the radio or classic songs that we knew, and I would try to break them down. And then for the orchestra side of things, I would listen to like a Mozart, find a recording of it, and then break each part down.
Damn.
And try to ear by note by note. That really inspired me to learn piano because I noticed there was tons of shortcuts and I didn't have to do things like that. Like if I knew that this was a C major chord and this was next chord, I would know which notes are in that I have to play, not to listen to each single note or each line for 4 bars and then go to the next line for 4 bars. But this is getting really musically technical.
No, that's good. This is good. So no, this is great. So I see what you're saying. You're talking about like chords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that would have saved me hours and hours and hours if I knew some theory. I didn't know any at that point.
So you were already doing music before that freshman year.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing music since 4th grade. I played violin, and then high school I picked up trombone and baritone. So by then I was already 3 instruments in, and then I picked up piano senior year.
Well, okay, so let's I guess I can go to my next question. Let's talk about that. So from K through 12, how would you describe yourself as a student?
I was an AB student, AB honor roll the whole time.
Damn, the whole time?
Pretty much.
No
yeah.
C's?
I mean, I had some C's, but like at the end, maybe like towards like junior year of high school, sophomore year of high school, something like that.
Okay, yeah. The algebra too. No, you're good at math.
It's all English.
English.
The teachers didn't like me. Like, I hated English.
It's subjective,
I don't
too.
like to read. It's very subjective. I interpret things differently than they wanted me to interpret it. It's interesting enough, like, I didn't do so great in the writing part of English. I forgot what year it is. I think it's 10th grade. Mm-hmm. But I always felt like what I wrote was good. And then like later in life, I went to college at NC State. I did great in the writing class. I write now. I'm a songwriter.
You're a songwriter.
You know? So it's like I write all the time. And it's interesting how like, I don't know, I guess a lot of people can attest to their teachers or their professors don't like what they do. And so it's kind of discouraging. And so in my head, I always thought I was a bad English student.
That's real. Like your teachers are human. They're human beings. And so you're pretty decent at, or pretty great actually, at the technical part of school. What about socially?
Socially, wouldn't say I was one of the cool kids or whatever, but I mean, I knew everybody. I didn't really have any enemies per se. Like socially, where the school I went to, if you're in the marching band, like you're kind of cool. You know what I mean? You're not necessarily like the coolest, but you could be. You know what I mean? But not like on TV. A lot of times, if you're in a marching band, you're a dork. It wasn't like that at my school. So like, was I Mr. Popular? No, but was I a total nerd that didn't hang out with anybody? Absolutely not. Like, I knew I was kind of I fall somewhere in the middle. Like, I knew almost everybody, but I took all the hard classes, the AP honors, and we had our little clique because there was only 1 or 2 available for each class at my school.
Yeah, it's rare that someone goes from like CP to honors. Honors to AP, yeah, but
which is something I actually really dislike. If I didn't take those AP classes, I probably still would have got the same grade. Like if I like AP English 12 or whatever, I got a C probably. I probably would have got a C in regular English 12 too. So like might as well get the AP credit for it.
Interesting.
To me, it wasn't like if you're thrown in the pool, certain people like you're just gonna figure out a way to survive. You know?
Yeah, that's real. And you meet new people, and so you kind of can form a new group. Like I definitely had friends that were like the smart people, or I wasn't the smartest in the room, and it helps tremendously. Yeah. Oh my goodness, just to be in a room, just to hear them talk.
Yep.
And
exactly.
You get a better grade. Like it just works that way.
Because a lot of times the teacher either doesn't care that you understand it. They're gonna say it their way. That's the way they know it. It makes perfect sense to them, but you don't get it, so they can't find another way to say it. I was a math tutor for a long time, so like I would say things, and they'd be like, and I was like, "Do you get it?" And sometimes they'll lie to me, be like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, put them to the test. And they don't get it. And so I have to say it a different way. And then you say it like multiple, 3, 4, 5 different ways. And then they finally get it one of those ways. Yeah. You have to keep on trying different things because you can't just keep reiterating the same thing and expect somebody to click.
So you're in the marching band. So you've been doing music for a while.
Yeah. I mean, around music since... I don't know how old you are in 4th grade, but I was probably a year younger than that. So whatever that is.
I think 8 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when I started music.
So elementary school.
Yeah, as a violinist.
And I remember, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't remember. I remember. I want to know mentally what it was like. You've been doing music since 4th grade. and then senior year hits and you apply for engineering.
Oh, I never saw music as a career path. Maybe growing up the way we did with, I guess, foreign parents or
Yeah, we're first generation.
first generation.
Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like all the Issa Rae and all the Yvonne Orji stuff they talk about. It's just like it just resonates so hard because we all go through it. It's funny. It's not even just Africans. If you talk to Indians, you talk to Asians, they all experience very, very similar things. But it's really just doctor, lawyer, engineer, and that's pretty much it. And so I kind of was like, okay, engineer's cool. Like out of all the engineerings, electrical sounded cool. So I was like, let's just do that. That sounds fine, you know? Yeah. I wasn't going to do mechanical because that's what my dad did. So I was like, nope, not doing that. By about halfway through, I was already in the program, probably about like junior year of college. I knew I didn't want to do this anymore. But I was already way too deep. I was like, I'm going to get this degree and then we'll see what happens after that. Because I was like, I don't like any of this stuff. I'm in sleep in class every day. I bust my ass after class, go to office hours, do this, everything, and still get C's. Like, it was just C, 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 C every grade. And I was just like, oh, okay. But in every grade outside of the major, A minus, B plus.
That kind of segues to my next question. Out of those 4 years, what was the hardest class?
I remember it was a class, I forgot what it's called, but it was ECE 206.
You remember the number?
I remember. I'm pretty sure that's it. Because I took it twice.
Yeah.
And I did a late drop. I actually blamed it on a lot of mental stuff, and I wrote this long thing, and they approved my late drop. Anyway, I ended up passing. Pissed me off. I had a C minus, and that would have been enough to keep going, or a C. No. And I ended up passing it, and I was like, oh.
Got it.
But I was like, this is probably better because there's a follow-up class after that, and I didn't know anything. So, then I ended up taking it again, and I did really good for the first half of it, and then that second half was the same as before.
Really?
But that teacher was absolutely crazy. Like, professor, like, it was a night class. It was at 6 p.m. The guy said, if you do your homework, I'll give you 0%. If you don't do it, I take off up to 20% of your grade. So you can get a negative 20% if you don't do so it was like no gain in doing your homework, but
it's like
punishment if you don't do it. Yep. Weed out class.
Yeah.
They're trying to get rid of you.
Yeah.
You fail one class, you're barely gonna make it. But then the flip side of it, like I said, I was struggling, had C's and all that stuff, and all these electrical engineering classes. But when I went to Berkeley 2.5, 3 years later, I was killing it. Like, I had a 3.9 GPA. The only grade that I didn't get an A in, I think I got a B plus, was the performance class. Those classes were like, not that they're easy, but they were easy for me, you know, especially coming from doing stuff that I didn't like and still getting through. This was like a breeze. But I worked really hard, but I would get things so much faster and so much more in depth because I number one, I had experience because I already made 2 albums. So I knew exactly what I was trying to learn when I went there. And then number 2, it's music. So I was always good at that.
For college, I think that's the key. What is the purpose? You know, back then it was like, okay, to graduate high school, to get to, you know, the next grade or whatever. But when you're in college, the next grade is life.
Yeah.
So if you and the trickery is you gotta define that. It's not the school that's defining that. It's up to you now. So you already made those albums, and you're like, okay, I want to make better. I want them to be better. So I need to learn this stuff to make better albums.
Yep.
That was the goal.
The older students, when I was at NC State, they were like 40, 50 years old. They were working as well.
Wow.
So when they would come back in class, they were killing them. They were like, oh, this is why this is the way it is. You know, like the dots would connect for them. And that's kind of how it was when I went to Berkeley. Like, I'd already tried to make 2 albums, but they didn't sound nowhere near like what was on the radio or what was the albums I was listening to. I'm like, why? You know what I mean? And I kept on asking why, and you get to the bottom of it after a while.
Well, that transitions to one of the last questions. What was the easiest class at State?
There was this class. It was it's not the music one. It was art history or something like that. I hate throwing NC State under the bus, but hey, this is my experience. So
it was way back when, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's all
those
good.
guys are probably all gone anyway.
Jesus, retired.
Yeah, sure. But anyway, there was this one class, art history. You pretty much get an A if you show up. I think it was art history. So I showed up every class. You don't have to pay attention. You can go to sleep. It doesn't matter. Like it had a reputation and everything. Final exam, he leaves the room and comes back like 40 minutes later. He tells you like, I'm gonna be gone. I'll be back in 40 minutes. And so everybody passes the class, to put it that way. And we knew this. Like it's a thing. Everybody knows. So that was the easiest class I ever had. But what I found out is just they're much better at you at this. Like, you know what I mean? We all have our things that we're just naturally better than most people at. But it's whether you find it, whether you listen to it, you explore it. A lot of people don't do that. Or they think there's no money in it and they can't make a career out of it. But I remember like a friend told me probably 20 years ago, like, doesn't matter what you want to do, you can make money doing it.
Well, we're coming to the end, but before we head out, I want to ask you, knowing what you know now,
Yes.
will you give me $10,000? You walked right into that one.
I should have said no.
No. Okay.
So, well, you won't give me $10,000. No.
Knowing what you know now, what would you tell younger Kofi during that time?
During which time? College time?
College time, yeah, specifically.
Oh. I don't know. Maybe just you'll be all right. Like, just go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. You'll get through it. Make the most of it. Like, make memories, because that's what matters probably the most. Like, the people you meet and the experiences you have. Like I got so many college stories. I think we all do. You know, like one of my biggest ones is when we beat, I think it was Florida State in football, and we tore down the goalpost and walked it halfway down Hillsborough Street. Like, but did I help tear it down? No, but I did go on the field though. So and that was like. You see it on TV your whole life, and then you actually get to jump down and go on the field. And that jump was way longer than it looked. I was like, whoa, when I hit the ground. And so, like, there's so many memories. Like, to me, that's the most important thing. Even at Berkeley, like, it was mostly about the networking, the people you meet, and the memories you have with them, like, and the connections you make.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
That was great. One last thing before we go.
You said that last time.
I probably did. I have a little spot for a shameless plug. So if you want to let people know what you're doing, basically what can I post alongside?
Okay. Okay, so you can follow me at Kofi Agyei Music. It's KOFIAGYEIMUSIC on Instagram and maybe Twitter too. I'm not sure. But I don't really check Twitter, so don't follow me there. So on Instagram, you can follow me there, or at Wiidope, WIIDOPE. That's the music production team I'm a part of. Right now, we're just working on lots of albums with different artists. I have my own artist thing, but you can see most of that either on your Spotify or iTunes under Wiidope or Kofi Agyei, which is the KOFIAGYEI. So tons of music out there. Releasing stuff every week, working with a ton of different people, lots of different projects. It's been fun.
And before we leave y'all, research your own experiences, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. Bruce Lee. God bless.